The topic of Iran and its connection to biblical prophecies is both fascinating and complex. While the modern nation of Iran is not specifically mentioned in the Bible by name, several biblical texts contain prophecies that many interpret as referring to Iran or the ancient Persian Empire. To understand this connection, it's important to explore the historical and prophetic context of Persia, which became Iran, in the Bible. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. The truth about Iran in the Bible. Iranians in biblical prophecies. The ancient Persian Empire, which is modern-day Iran, plays a significant role in both the history of the Bible and in its prophetic writings. While the country of Iran itself is not directly mentioned by name in the Bible, the land and people of ancient Persia are repeatedly referenced, especially in prophetic texts. Understanding these references is crucial for anyone seeking to grasp the Bible's view on the role of Persia, and by extension, Iran, in both ancient times and possibly the end times. 1. Historical context, Persia and the Bible. Before diving into the prophetic aspects, it is essential to establish the historical relationship between the Persian Empire and the Jewish people. Persia was a significant player in the ancient Near East and a major empire during the time of the Hebrew Bible, especially during the exilic and post-exilic periods. Cyrus the Great and the return of the Jewish people. One of the most notable Persian figures in the Bible is Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, who conquered Babylon in 539 BCE and liberated the Jewish people from exile. This event is mentioned in several books of the Bible and marks a turning point in Jewish history. Cyrus issued a decree that allowed the Israelites, who had been in captivity in Babylon, to return to their homeland and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. This event is depicted as a fulfillment of God's promise to his people. Isaiah 45 verse 1 is one of the most significant passages referring to Cyrus, where God calls him his anointed. Thus says the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have held, to subdue nations before him and loose the armor of kings, to open before him the double doors, so that the gates will not be shut. The notion of Cyrus being called God's anointed, a term usually reserved for Israelite kings, is a remarkable and important element in understanding the Bible's view of Persia. Cyrus's actions, although he was not an Israelite, were seen as part of God's divine plan for the restoration of Israel. Ezra 1 verses 1-4 describes how Cyrus issued a decree allowing the Jews to return to Jerusalem. In the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, in order to fulfill the word of the Lord spoken by Jeremiah, the Lord moved the heart of Cyrus king of Persia to make a proclamation throughout his realm and to put it in writing. In this historical context, Persia under Cyrus is seen as a tool of God's will, an instrument for bringing about the restoration of Israel. The Persian king, who was not an Israelite, was instrumental in fulfilling prophecy and aiding the Jewish people in their return to their homeland. 2. Prophecies involving Persia. Several key prophecies in the Bible mention Persia, often using the empire symbolically to represent future events or historical developments. Understanding these prophecies requires a basic grasp of the Bible's apocalyptic and prophetic literature, which frequently uses symbolic language to convey messages about the future. The vision of the four beasts in Daniel 7. In the book of Daniel, there is a vision of four great beasts, each representing a kingdom that would dominate the world. The second beast is described as a bear with 3 ribs in its mouth, which most interpreters understand to symbolize the Medo-Persian Empire, a coalition of the Medes and Persians that conquered Babylon. The 3 ribs represent the major conquests of the Persians, Media, Lydia, and Babylon. Daniel 7 verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like a bear. It was raised up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it, Arise, devour much flesh. The Persian Empire, which succeeded Babylon as the dominant world power, is symbolized by the bear. This vision suggests Persia's might and its role in world history. The phrase, devour much flesh, reflects the empire's military conquests and its expansion. The ram and the goat, Daniel 8. In Daniel 8, another vision involves a ram and a goat. The ram represents the Medo-Persian Empire, while the goat symbolizes the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great. The ram, with 2 horns, is said to represent the Medes and the Persians, with the larger horn, Persia, being more dominant. Daniel 8 verses 20-21. The ram which you saw, having the 2 horns, they are the kings of Media and Persia, and the male goat is the kingdom of Greece. The large horn that is between its eyes is the first king. This passage clearly identifies Persia as a significant empire in biblical prophecy, as it stands in opposition to Greece, which eventually defeated Persia. The symbolism of the ram's 2 horns emphasizes the dual nature of the Medo-Persian Empire, with Persia being the stronger of the 2 powers. Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38-39. The Gog and Magog prophecy in Ezekiel 38-39 has long been a subject of debate among biblical scholars and prophecy enthusiasts. In this passage, the prophet Ezekiel describes a future invasion of Israel by a coalition of nations, led by a figure known as Gog from the land of Magog. Among the nations listed as part of this coalition is Persia, along with other regions such as Cush, Put, and Meshech. Ezekiel 38 verse 5. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, all with shields and helmets. Many modern interpreters view this passage as a reference to a future end-times conflict involving a coalition of nations that will come against Israel. The mention of Persia in this context has led some to speculate that modern-day Iran, the successor to ancient Persia, might play a role in an apocalyptic war, particularly in the context of its animosity toward Israel. Given the geopolitical tensions between Iran and Israel today, many view this passage as highly relevant in light of current events. The King of the South in Daniel 11. In Daniel 11, the prophecy of the King of the South and the King of the North is often interpreted as referring to conflicts between various powers. While traditionally, these kings are viewed as representatives of historical powers such as the Ptolemaic Kingdom, South, and the Seleucid Empire, North, some modern interpreters believe that the King of the South could represent nations in the Middle East, including Iran, especially considering Iran's current geopolitical stance. Daniel 11 verse 40, NIV. At the time of the end, the King of the South will engage him in battle, and the King of the North will storm out against him with chariots and cavalry and a great fleet of ships. While this passage does not directly identify Persia as the King of the South, many who interpret Bible prophecy in light of current events suggest that the nations surrounding Israel, particularly Iran, could play a central role in these prophecies. 3. End times prophecies and Iran's role. Many who follow apocalyptic interpretations of the Bible, particularly those in the dispensationalist tradition, believe that the events described in Ezekiel 38 and Daniel 11 could be fulfilled in the end times. The role of Iran, as the modern successor to ancient Persia, in these prophecies is particularly significant because of Iran's stated opposition to Israel and its active involvement in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Iran's position in the prophetic framework. Iran's geopolitical role has led many prophetic interpreters to suggest that the nation could play a prominent role in future end-times events. Iran's leadership often speaks of Israel's destruction, and the country is a key player in many regional conflicts that involve Israel, such as in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. This alignment with the nations described in Ezekiel 38, especially as a leader of the coalition against Israel, makes Iran a key focus of prophetic speculation. Furthermore, the Bible's depiction of Persia as both a powerful nation and a player in future events places Iran squarely in the midst of global discussions about the Middle East and biblical prophecy. 4. Modern-day Iran and its connection to biblical prophecy. Though the Bible's ancient prophecies do not directly address modern Iran, the country's political and military stance toward Israel, along with its role in the region, has caused many to draw connections between current events and the prophetic texts of Ezekiel, Daniel, and others. Whether or not these prophecies will be fulfilled literally is a matter of interpretation, but Iran's role in these discussions is undeniable. Conclusion: the prophetic significance of Iran. While Iran is not explicitly mentioned in the Bible by its modern name, the ancient Persian Empire plays a significant role in biblical history and prophecy. From Cyrus the Great and his role in the return of the Jewish people to Jerusalem to the prophecies in Daniel and Ezekiel, Persia is depicted as an important empire that plays a significant role in both past and future events. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.